It feels good to be back. Welcome back to Advance Wars 2, and the final battle is at hand. Yes, this is the final battle of the Blue Moon campaign, and it'll feel good to have this done so we can finally move on to other things. So, obviously, Black Hole is panicking, and this line coming up, I love this line. Once again, it is funny because Flak is stupid. And this here is explaining a game mechanic here. It might not look like it, but it actually is. Yeah. Basically, missile silos don't work on map-based structures, like pipe seams. They have a slight hand-wavy justification for it. But anyway. And we've got the Commander-in-Chief of Orange Star. I really hope this won't go as badly as the other attempt at an alliance earlier on. And of course, Olaf is still all like... I do admit though that Grit requesting allies was probably a good thing, because this mission would be quite difficult alone. Yeah, Olaf is never really one to work with allies, but again, they are a bit short-handed, so, anyway, let's move out. We get 2 commanders for this battle, and, oh yeah, well, once again... Yep, Grid only did it to keep from getting shot. That is awesome. Anyway, we get to choose our Blue Moon commander here, and our Orange Star commander. I'm going to go for the classic team-up here of Grit and Max. Pretty much anyone on Orange Star will work reasonably well here, maybe not so much Sammy, but here I'm going to go for, once again, the classic team-up of Grit and Max. The reason being, Grit has... Actually, I don't know why I said that. I did not mean to press that, actually. Yeah, I meant Max. I don't know why I was even... Anyway, past me confuses me sometimes, but anyway, let's move out. I will justify my team choice in a moment. Factory Blues. This is it, the final mission of Blue Moon. So, yeah, just to recap, the final mission of every continent is a factory battle. And the mission here is to destroy that pipe seam at the top of the map there. Destroying that will cut power to the factory and end Black Hole's control of this region. You'll notice here that Blue Moon starts with a small base, but needs to rapidly expand it out. Orange Star, however, does not start with any bases at all, just a relatively small pre-deployed force. Now, the interesting thing here is... there is a base right here, and normally, you know, you'd think that's meant for Blue Moon to get. I like to have Orange Star capture this base, just so that they actually have some means of unit production early on. Because, yeah, they have a pre-deployed force and no new reinforcements. Now, Orange Star has one specific mission here, which I will get into eventually, but, at first, yeah. The factory, like in the first campaign, will constantly spew out units every turn, regardless of resources or anything like that. Resources, sorry, this isn't a real-time strategy game. Funds, I mean. Anyway, yeah, that factory will continuously churn out units, and there is no way to stop it short of putting your units right in front of its doors, which is actually a fairly decent strategy. Now, of course, being Grit here, I'm going to use some artillery. Speaking of Grit, yes, I am finally going to justify my team choice here. The idea behind the Grit and Max team-up is that Grit has amazing indirect but bad direct combat. Max has amazing direct but terrible indirect. Together, they are unstoppable, or at least that's the theory. Actually, there's a little more to it than meets the eye. It's implied that Grit and Max actually knew each other before. Yes, of course, Max's artillery is pretty much useless, so, yeah, might want to keep that back. I mean, not that it can't really do anything. It's effectively a... Holy, that's a lot of recons. Yeah, at least there's a lot of woodland terrain and plains in between us and them, which means that recons and other tire-based units aren't that great here, which is annoying because that means that Grit's rockets are going to be horribly slowed down, and those are his best units. But the main plan here with Grit is to capture a relative, get a hold on the territory here, and send out a constant stream of artillery and have Max send a couple of tanks to support and bodyguard his artillery. That's the plan, really. If I can manage to get artillery all the way up to the factory, under the effects of Grit's CO powers, I will be able to snipe the pipe. Kind of funny, I always thought that sounded like a bad rap song or something. Snipe the pipe. Anyway, I will be able to snipe the pipe, and wow! Okay, I forgot how good Max was at direct combat. Wow, one-shotting a recon. I mean, admittedly it was on a road, but still, that was awesome. Again, the job of Max's tanks here is to act as bodyguards for Grit's artillery, while the rest of Max's forces approach the airport that's a little further north. Yes, Max's main mission in this scenario is to reach that airport as fast as possible, capture it, and then send a wave of helicopters, or if I'm really lucky, bombers, towards the pipe seam. Now, Lash will eventually start defending pipe seam with anti-air units, but that's what Max's superior tanks are for. So that's really the main thing. At the moment, Lash just seems content to send a bunch of infantry down, which is a bad thing for us because we have missile silos right in the middle of the map, and if her infantry reach them, it won't be good. Unfortunately, one of her recons has foolishly wandered into range of Grit's artillery. They will soon learn to regret that mistake. Anyway, there is also a missile silo relatively close to our starting point. I'm going to send an infantry out to get that. And in the middle of the map, there's mostly just cities. There isn't really much in the way of production facilities towards the middle of the map, so most of the units that we create will be quite far away from our target, which is a bit of a problem. Of course, Grit loves being far away from his target because he's a long-range specialist, so that's fine. And yeah, so basically, the Orange Star Army here is in charge of going for the pipe seam. Blue Moon is more, well, their real job is to act as provide covering fire for Max, and to also cover the power score. That is really Blue Moon's job here. If I can get however, if I can get some indirect units up into range of the pipe, that'd be very good. Grit and Max, interestingly, are both actually very good characters to choose for pipe missions, because, just want to take this thing out quickly before it reaches the silo. Yeah, because both Max's direct units and Grit's indirect units are capable of inflicting very heavy damage on pipe seams. In fact, Max is one of the characters whose bombers are at full strength, capable of destroying a pipe seam in one hit. So, not only that, but he gets a movement boost on his direct units during his power, and that is very helpful for reaching the seam and taking it out. So, Max is actually very good to use for any mission that involves taking out pipe seams, which is quite a lot of them in campaign mode, actually. And Grit likewise, especially, like you saw in the Nature Walk mission earlier on, Grit is also very good at taking out cannons, and we'll be seeing a lot of those later on. So Grit and Max are two characters we will be seeing quite a lot of later in the campaign. Olaf, not so much. Yeah, I will say that Colin actually works really well for this mission as well. In fact, most walkthroughs of this one I've seen use Colin. I'll just save that missile for later, because eventually Lash will start sending out medium tanks from that, and yeah, I'll probably need to... Now, you know what? I am going to use this missile silo now, because if I don't, Lash is definitely going to get it, and that won't be good. So... yeah, I'm just going to fire this one, probably sacrificing that infantry, but anything to stop Lash from taking the silo, because that would, again, be not very good for us. So, like I was saying, Colin is actually quite good for this mission as well. We want to make sure that our artillery don't go in range of those tanks, but anyway. Colin is quite good for this mission as well, as is, I reckon Andy can do okay on the Orange Star side. Speaking of the Orange Star side, though, something that I need to mention with this mission, and I'll probably want to get this out of the way early on when I don't have to talk as much about what's actually happening in the battle, is something interesting. Now, this is something I actually did not know until very recently, so part of me is actually kind of glad that I ended up postponing this playthrough for ages, because I wouldn't have known this if I had actually done the commentary on it back when I was actually doing this. I wouldn't have actually known this. The thing is, you might have noticed that you can actually complete Blue Moon and Yellow Comet in any order. Yeah, basically, after you complete Orange Star, wait, I'm only doing, alright, I'm kind of heavily weakened. Anyway, after you complete Orange Star, you get the choice of whether you want to do the Blue Moon missions or the Yellow Comet missions next. In fact, you can pretty much complete both campaigns effectively at the same time. While you're doing Blue Moon, you can go back and do some Yellow Comet missions. Both of them are freely available. But the real interesting thing is which campaign you complete first, because that actually does affect a few things. Namely, as you might have guessed, what allies you have access to in this mission. Now, as you saw in the intro here, they only talk about Orange Star coming to see us. This is because, given that Orange Star is the only other country we've liberated, they're the only ones who are able to provide reinforcements. Oh crap, see what I told you about medium tanks? This is kind of why I saved the silo. So, anyway. But what I was saying was, if you've actually completed the Yellow Comet campaign before Blue Moon, and one walkthrough I was actually reading lately, okay, let me just get this out of the way. I did not look at any day-by-day walkthroughs or anything like that during this entire playthrough while I recorded this. Afterwards, I may have looked at a few just to see how their tactics differed from mine. But, definitely want to hit that medium tank with a missile. But anyway, yes, afterwards I did look at a few, but while I was recording this, trust me, I did not look up any walkthroughs or guides whatsoever, except for two instances. There was exactly one mission where I had to look up the power requirements. I will tell you which one that is later on. It's a much later mission, trust me. And there was exactly one mission where I did follow the advice of one walkthrough with character selection, but that is actually it. I did not look up any day-to-day walkthroughs, I did not read any of those day-to-day walkthroughs or anything. That is the extent of this. But anyway, back on topic. There was a walkthrough that actually recommended doing Yellow Comet before Blue Moon so that you could choose one of the Yellow Comet commanders as your ally for this mission. And that apparently he makes things a lot easier. Now, knowing the character that they suggested, I understand why he would make things a lot easier. And if you've played this game, you probably know who I'm referring to. Just to avoid spoiling the Yellow Comet campaign, I am not going to tell you who it is that this guide recommended, but trust me, it was someone on Yellow Comet. And basically, this is the thing. If you've completed Yellow Comet before Blue Moon, you're actually able to choose Yellow Comet allies for this mission. And that can actually be quite helpful. The other thing is, in all of my playthroughs of this game, and I have played through this game many, many times, I have never once completed Yellow Comet before Blue Moon. There's a very specific reason for this that I'll get to once we actually start Once we actually start on Yellow Comet, I will show you why. Generally, for beginners to this game, I really don't recommend doing Yellow Comet before Blue Moon, because Yellow Comet is considerably harder than Blue Moon, and its factory mission in particular is much harder than Blue Moon. Now, the thing is, if you, like me, are completing Blue Moon before Yellow Comet, then once you get to the Yellow Comet factory mission, you will be able to choose Blue Moon allies. Now, the guide that I was looking at said that they actually like using Max for the Yellow Comet factory mission, and so it doesn't really matter completing Yellow Comet first. Me, I'm the opposite. I'm the complete opposite. I love using Max for this one, and I like using Grit in Yellow Comet for one particular reason that you'll be seeing once we get to the Yellow Comet factory mission, trust me. But anyway, the reason, yeah, I'm just doing this walkthrough because I like to show my personal way of doing things, and of course Lash has exactly enough energy for her null power, so she's going to go ahead and use that. Yeah, this means that, it's only a... Oh, she's got a missile unit. Yeah, I had a... Oh, speaking of missiles... Oh, I kind of did not see that coming. That was kind of bad. And that's even worse. I might lose my control of this city unless I join. I may have to do a join, actually. But, anyway... Yes, she is sending anti-air units... Oh, and bye-bye infantry, I'm so sorry. She's sending anti-air units to guard the pipe seam, so she already knows that I'm starting to go for the airport, and that's kind of bothersome. Oh, that could be bad too. Or not. That was a lot better than I expected. But anyway, generally speaking, whenever the AI gets exactly enough energy for their normal power, or their turn begins, they will prioritize using that over saving up for their superpower. That's generally how their AI works. Like I think I may have mentioned before, that there are some AIs who behave differently depending on what character they're controlling. Mostly due to the fact there is exactly one, well, there's a couple of powers that, there's some that, like Olaf's, that it doesn't really matter when in your turn you use them. There are some, like, one character we'll be seeing much later, where you have to use them at the end of your turn rather than the beginning. And there are some where it doesn't matter when in your turn you use them. And we'll be seeing those a lot later. But anyway, for the time being, just bear in mind, their AI likes to prioritize using their normal power over their super one if they've got exactly enough for their normal power. If they've got maybe 1 star into their super section of the meter, they will save up for the super, most of the time anyway. So anyway, like I have said a few times before, despite the fact that Grit's direct combat units are weak, you actually do have to create a couple of them usually. They are pretty much a necessary evil when playing as him, because while Max can pretty much get by without using any indirect units, Grit finds it very hard to get by without using direct units at all, because you need some direct units to protect your indirects. Even if they are kind of expendable, you still need them, because otherwise your indirects are going to be completely helpless. And it's almost impossible to win a mission using just indirects. They need something to cover them, so yeah. Anyway, gotta watch out, but that thing can hit my, yeah, I'm gonna use my, I'm using my expendable artillery as a meat shield for my infantry, simply because, yeah, Max's artillery are pretty much pointless. So, yeah, and I'm still gonna be saving funds, because, okay, if I move that, oh, those missiles are approaching us kind of rapidly. Yeah, Lash's normal power means that, that all of her units treat all terrain as if it was clear ground. So, yeah, her TIE units can cross through forest unimpeded, which is quite bad for us. If that missile gets within range of our airport, that could be very, very bad. However, our anti-air is actually in range of that missile, so I could go ahead and do that. But, yeah, so I'm almost capturing that airport. Things are starting to progress a little bit, and I'm saving up funds for, what's my income? Only 4,000 a turn. That could be a problem. I'll probably get those 2 cities surrounding the airport and the airport itself, so that's 3,000 extra. That would be 7,000 a turn. Not quite enough for a copter a turn, but, if I save up all of my funds, I will start able to produce a steady stream of copter units. I just realized something. Another possible tactic for this one is, because Max's bombers are actually capable of one-shotting the pipe if they get there, you really only need 1. So another possible tactic for this is to simply put all of your funds into saving up for 1 bomber and getting that bomber straight to the pipe. That is possible as well, but remember that Lash does really like to send anti-air units and missiles your way, so yeah, you might need to watch out for that. And if my damaged artillery is capable of taking this thing out, then so be it. Oh, not quite. I reckon an infantry could finish that one off, actually. And I'll engage in a bit of an artillery duel here. Yeah, indirect units, you probably already realised this, can never counterattack, and you're probably starting to realise that I'm running out of things to say here, because I've already said quite a lot about this mission. Now, you might notice by the video length, obviously, this is quite a long mission. These factories do tend to be battles of attrition, because the enemy has a virtually endless supply of funds, and yeah, I was able to finish it, nice. The enemy has not so much funds, but the enemy has an endless supply of units. And yeah, most of the time, you know, I should have joined rather than done that, because I am pretty sure that joining does not hurt your technique ranking in any way. I'll send my artillery there because I'm a little paranoid of something fast suddenly coming out of the factory. The factory can produce air units if you're really unlucky, but that doesn't seem to happen that often for me in this mission. Of course, if it does, things get very annoying, because I don't have any... Grit's anti-air overall, apart from missiles, are kind of weak, and I don't want to produce any missiles at the moment, because missile units are very situational. They are really good at what they do, but the question is, do you need what they can do? And at last, Max has the airport. That was pretty much his main mission for his main objective in this mission. So Now that he has the airport, yeah, the question is, he's going to get some copters out. If I'm lucky, maybe bombers. You probably do not need any fighters for this one, because Lash is quite unlikely to be sending out air units. Again, if you're unlucky, air units might come out of the factory, but that doesn't always happen. And usually it's just battlecopters. I have... Alright, retreating that tank just to save on my technique score. And expendable meat shield artillery. And I might want to keep my APC around just because... do I need something? No, I don't. Yeah, got a 5,000 income now, and I actually just created another tank, simply to act as another bodyguard for Grips units, although, in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Where'd those rockets come from? I did not see those rockets. Where'd they come from? Where were they? Where were they? Where were they? Oh, they came out of a Neo... What? Oh, what? Really? Okay, yeah, see, that's why I was saying that I was worried about something coming out of the factory. Neo-tank and rockets, and of course, the rockets can fire on the turn they spawn. See, that's the problem with factory missions. You never know what's going to come out of that factory, and oftentimes it can really screw you over. So, very often, unless you can actually send your units right up into the factory's face and blockade it, which I'm probably going to have to do eventually, because, but seriously, I do not want to repeat of that. Rockets and Neo-tank, really? Yeah, again, like, a lot of the factory missions kind of come down to luck, because what comes out of the factory is actually pretty much random. I've had people in comments on earlier videos actually point out that what they get out of factories is actually different to what I got. Yeah, what comes out of the factory is pretty much random, and I'm pretty sure the most hardcore of speedrunners out there will constantly reset until they get a good spread of units out of that factory. But seriously, Neo-tank and rockets, really? Really? And I probably want to take out those rockets as fast as I can, because, like I was saying before, if Lash gets one of her powers going, her rockets could cross woods without penalty, and that is very, very bad. But we're slowly inching our way towards the factory, and once we get there, once we get a constant stream of artillery fire on the factory exits, then that should be enough to deter them, but maybe not. I really hope something else doesn't come out of the factory this turn. So annoying. Not quite enough for rockets. Yeah, if you've captured the Blue Moon factory, you'll be able to produce Neo-tanks for Blue Moon. Of course, Orange Star will always be able to produce Neo-tanks regardless, because their factory mission is in fact compulsory. They are the only ones who actually are guaranteed to have Neo-tanks in the campaign, because, yeah, their factory mission was part of the tutorial. And finally, we have copters. Now, copters are actually somewhat decent against Neo-tanks. What I really want to do with those Neo-tanks, though, is hit them with Grit's artillery. I pretty much have to resign myself to the fact that something is going to die to that Neo-tank. I kind of hope it's the artillery, to be honest. The life of Max's artillery. They're always expendable, aren't they? Completely worthless, pretty much. And 1 HP, anti-air. This is not going to end well for me, but thankfully he survived. But not for too much longer. You know, if that Neo-tank goes after one of my 1 HP units, I'm going to laugh. But, anyway. I really hope it doesn't shoot my APC, because air units rely heavily on fuel, and that could be a problem. At the very least, Max getting heavily hammered like this is boosting his power meter, and oh crap! Okay, we do not want Lash to get that airport. We have to double time our units over that airport and recapture it as far... Well, not so much recapture it, just take her infantry off that... Oh, crap. Yep, that was pretty much a lost cause. Bye-bye, artillery. Hopefully, though, I'm in range of some others. Because, seriously, that Neo-tank, I had... So far, on the agenda, stop that airport capture and stop that Neo-tank. We have to do this ASAP, because otherwise those things are going to make a complete mess of us. If we let Lash get that airport, things are going to be very, very bad. So, oh, you're advancing those missiles. That's not good on me either. So, anyway, Neo-tank. Hit the Neo-tank. Thank you, past me. You actually did something right for once. Hit the Neo-tank. Now, this is going to give Lash a massive boost to her power meter. Damaging Neo-tanks is pretty much guaranteed to give your opponent a gigantic power meter boost, because, again, The CO power meter runs off of funds worth of damage that have been inflicted on your units, and also your opponent's units, but it mostly applies when you're defending rather than attacking. So, hitting a Neo Tank is quite likely to give your opponent a very large boost to their power meter, which in the case of Adder is quite likely to fill his entire power meter in one go. Of course, the more you use your power, the longer it takes to charge up the next time. So, I've probably reiterated this stuff already before, but always good to know this kind of stuff. You've always got to keep this in mind. Now, speaking of power meter, Grid has enough for his normal, but I don't think that's enough. I want to go for the super because I want to make sure... Okay, that Neo Tank is heavily weakened and much less of a threat to us. And I'll just weaken it even more. Okay, that Neo Tank is pretty much well and truly out of the battle. Units like that, you can generally just keep them alive, because they're not really going to be hurting you that much, and they might cut into your enemy's funds very heavily if they try and repair them, which they usually do. And, okay, so Neo Tank threat neutralized. Now let's try and neutralize this airport capturing attempt. Okay, hopefully that's going to slow down their capturing considerably. I've got another infantry on the way, so hopefully that's going to be slowed down, and I'm going to stop them from taking that airport, because believe me, you don't want Lash to take that airport. Really, because you don't want to be seeing her setting out, oh, heaven forbid, fighters. That would be very bad if she managed to get fighters out. Of course, if a fighter suddenly spawned from the factory, that would be even worse, but hopefully, now that I've said it, it's not going to happen. Right, Max is a little into his power meter. I just need to get that super. The super with Max is pretty vital to this because that +2 movement is extremely useful here. Also, okay, that was actually kind of stupid. I probably shouldn't have done that. I should have kept this thing alive so I could have gone for it for the power score. In fact, I think I'll go ahead and spoil this now. In this mission, despite the very long length of this video, I did pretty well on speed. And I did well on technique too, but power was a little off. And, yeah, so if you're looking to improve on me, the power score was where I went wrong. And for that, the power score is really weird. It's actually particularly annoying. Like, factory missions in general are very hard to get the power score on, simply because the enemy has an infinite stream of units. And they're constantly creating more and more, and... basically, you need to have a high percentage, your maximum number of units killed in a single turn has to be a fairly high percentage of the entire number of units your opponent has created throughout the whole match. And, well, considering that they're infinitely reinforcing themselves, that's kind of not that good. So, again, factory missions notoriously hard to get the power ranking on. Speaking of which, though, something that I actually only found out recently when I looked at a guide, and I don't know whether it applies here. I have a feeling that Blue Moon is the one that applies here. Basically, okay, I'll just say it here. This applies more to the later missions with multiple players, but anyway, in a multiple army mission, only one army's power and technique scores actually count. I'm pretty sure in the actual continents, it's the home team who counts for power and technique. So, pretty sure here only Blue Moon counts for power and technique. Speed, of course, since it's just purely based on the number of turns you're taking, speed is everyone's game. Everyone can work together to get a good speed ranking. It's just how quickly you complete the mission. The power score and technique scores apparently, and I did not know this when I first recorded this, that in multiplayer campaign scenarios, only one person's power and technique scores actually count. And again, now I'm not entirely sure if it's true here. In some of the later missions, it's actually whoever completes the mission objective first is the one whose power and technique scores end up counting. In this, I don't think it's the case. In this, I am pretty sure that it's the home team who counts. So, basically, it's the Blue Moon Army's power and technique scores that count for this one. Hopefully I will be able to take this infantry out and stop the capture attempt. don't want to join just yet, because that would actually end the turn of both units. And yes, airport capture attempt neutralize. This is going to be really helpful from now on. So we're advancing quite a good bit of the way here, and we've got a copter, and we've got Max is getting his copters out. Grit's got a good stream of artillery out there. Things are looking kind of alright. We're pushing forward into their territory. The main strategy here is slowly inch forward towards their factory. Slowly advance, slowly push them back towards their factory, and eventually you want to have your units right on their factory so that they pretty much can't produce anything out of the factory. Yeah, gotta take out those rockets, otherwise Grit's troops are going to be in serious trouble. Oh dear. Those missiles, are we in range of those missiles? Okay, good, we're out of missile range. That is very good, because we're going to try and take that missile unit out next turn. Yeah, the good thing about missiles is, or I can do that actually, I'm already blocking off part of the factory actually. So send the tank in, stupid useless artillery will just go up to act as a meat shield, infantry move around there. And do I have enough? No, I do not have enough for another copter. Damn it. Okay, I think I'll just have to save funds here, because I'm gonna have to save funds, because I need as many copters as I can. Or is not past me took my advice. Okay. Oh boy! Oh yeah, at least she only got a mech out of the factory that turn. Yeah, oh, the, that sound effect that plays when your opponent has their full power meter, ugh, it's always a complete total nightmare hearing it. There is someone later on who has an even worse superpower than Lash's, and, whoa boy, yeah, that thing is gonna completely brutalize me, because, yeah. Always be ready for that extra terrain movement with Lash, because, and of course the extra damage she's going to be doing due to her extra terrain stars. Apparently, in fact, I actually had someone comment to me that apparently Lash was actually considered, okay, we have our super, but I'm actually going to save it, I think. I'm not going to use it just yet. The reason being that I am not in range of the pipe, and I want to save my super for when I can actually hit the pipe with an indirect unit, so I'm not going to use it just yet. Now, back to what I was saying, I actually had someone in the comments actually point out to me that apparently Lash was actually considered overpowered in this game. I guess it kind of makes sense, because her advantages benefit everything except for air units, and she's versatile on just about any map. Her powers benefit her both offensively and defensively. Guess it kind of makes sense. She was, I think, nerfed a little bit in Dual Strike, and a certain other character was pretty much outright designed to counter her, which is kind of funny if you see a later mission in this campaign. And I guess it sort of makes sense for Lash to be a bit overpowered, seeing as you don't actually unlock her until you finish the campaign. And that is one thing I'd like to talk about here, now that we're getting well into this video and I am running out of things to talk about. Unlocking characters. I think this is a good way to say this, because by completing this mission, this will be the first mission in the campaign that unlocks us some new characters for use in multiplayer and war room. Now basically, when you first start this game, you only have access to 4 characters for multiplayer and war room mode. They are, obviously, Andy, Max, Sammy, and also Flak. So you start with Flak, actually. They have to start you off with 4 characters, just so that... Oh no, is that rocket covered by those missiles? I mean, that tank, I mean. I'd better hit it with my tank, though, just to keep my copters out of range of those missiles. Anyway, the reason why you start with Flak is because they have to start you with 4 characters, so you're able to do 4-player multiplayer right off the bat. Although I do admit, if you're doing that right off of a new copy, I feel very, very sorry for the person who gets stuck with Flak. Admittedly, though, you actually can do mirror matches in this game completely fine, so I guess you don't have to have one person as Flak, but anyway. So yeah, you start with him, but the other black hole characters, you have to unlock them later. And I mean much later. You don't actually get them until you finish the campaign completely. But, this mission though, completing the factory mission for any country besides Orange Star unlocks that country's commanders for War Room and multiplayer. However, there is a slight catch. You have to buy them from Hutchie's shop first. And in this case, you actually have to buy Olaf and Grit before you can buy Colin. It works like that for all the nations. You always have to buy the first two before you can buy the third, and I really don't know why I'm not blocking off the factory entrance at this point. You know, who am I to question past me? Are those missiles covering the airport? I'm pretty sure they're not. But anyway. So basically, for completing this, we will have access to, and I see past me, I told you you should have blocked the factory, but did you listen? No! Ah, stupid time travel. Anyway, past me really annoys me sometimes. Yeah, what I should have done was, I should have used that APC to go up, have the APC block one space of the factory, and unload the infantry on the other space of the factory to block it, thereby blocking off that factory from producing that mech and that artillery. That would have done me really a lot of good. Stupid past me, I really hate you sometimes. But, oh, that's a problem. That artillery just went right in front of the pipe seam. That is bad, and I don't think I'm ready to use my superpower just yet. So, anyway. So, I'm pretty sure that's all I have to say about unlocking... Oh, except one thing. Once you have purchased a character and they're fully available, then you have the option to buy their color edit from the store. And that'll let you, basically edit their color palette, which is kind of interesting because it will actually show up in campaign mode if you actually change their color palette. It will show up in their portraits even during dialogue. The main color edit that I find the most interesting is, the most hilarious, is obviously, there's one particular recoloring of Olaf that makes him look like Santa Claus. It makes his clothes red and his beard white, basically, so, I always like that one, Christmas Olaf. Anyway, I've never really cared that much for the recolorings except for that one, but it's an interesting addition. So, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Now, in terms of other things that I'm basically just stalling for time now, because I've pretty much said everything I want to about this mission, except for, I will say that, oh, that one's not quite finished yet. I will say that, Grid's not going to actually be able to use that airport, because, there's no indirect air. It'd be kind of interesting if there was an indirect air unit, but there isn't. And yes, Grid's artillery outranges the enemies, so that's really useful. And finally, I can get rockets that are not going to do anything this whole mission! Yeah. Maybe I should have saved for some of those earlier, I don't really know. I actually did not do badly on speed here, so I can't really fault myself for, not making rockets, but, power was the real area I did bad on, so, yes, room for improvement there, but, what I was going to say was... I actually have never done this mission with Yellow Comet allies before. Never. In my entire history of playing this game, and it's been years, I have played this game a lot, believe me. Like, this has been, like, honestly, oh wow, Nax has his super, but I am not ready to use it yet. No way, not yet. I'll need to clear those units off the pipe before I go ahead and use that. But, anyway, I still can't believe that in all my years, and it has been many years of playing this game, I have never once done Yellow Comet before Blue Moon, and thus I've never experienced just how different this mission is with Yellow Comet allies. And you know what? I have a feeling that I might actually try and record that eventually. Probably, I am going to have to show a couple of missions in Hard Campaign that are a bit different to how they normally are. I'm not going to do a full run of Hard Campaign, and wow! I don't believe it. Nax's artillery actually did something. I am honestly shocked. Seriously, I'm speechless. Nax's artillery actually did something. Wow, that was really surprising. Anyway, sorry, back to what I was saying. So, maybe on my hard campaign file, I'll keep going with that. Maybe I'll complete Yellow Comet there before I do Blue Moon. And then I'll record me doing this one with Yellow Comet allies, because I've actually never done that before, but I've heard that it works really well, so yeah, interesting. Again, I've always loved doing the Yellow Comet mission, final mission with Blue Moon allies, so it's not really that much of an issue for me, but still. Anyway, so that's basically that, and, okay, you're not anywhere near your... Double powers! Hey, if this was Dual Strike, we could totally horribly break the game. And this perfectly segues on to the next thing I was about to say, is that Grid and Max, it's implied they actually know each other before. They actually do have a special tag power in Dual Strike that gives a— oh crap! Are you seriously telling me that missiles spontaneously spawned out of the factory just as I put an air unit in their range? Really? Really? And I thought Fire Emblem AI was unfair. Really? Oh, see, this is why you stay away from the factory at all times. This is why I should have blocked the factory earlier. See past me? That's what happens when you don't listen to your future self. I hope past me will behave himself from now on. Seriously. Ugh. Spawning missiles right there and blasting my copter, seriously? Sorry, I can't get over that, but... that was painful. Yeah, if it hasn't been obvious, you might want to keep away from the factory, because believe me, you will never know what's going to come out of that factory, and very often, what will screw you over the most will come out of that factory, so beware the factory gates. Beware. Yeah. Oh, I can't get over that. Stupid cheap ambush spawning missiles. Anyway, now the factory is officially blocked, so we won't have any more of those incidents anymore. Still annoyed about that. Okay, let's get back to what I was saying before. They have a special tag power in Dual Strike. I believe it's called Big Country. The reason is that, as I may have mentioned earlier, and is implied slightly in this one, but made explicit in the first game, Grid used to work for Orange Star. In fact, he actually trained at the same military academy that Max and Nell did. Unless Nell was their instructor there, I forget. But, I know that he trained with Max, which is why the two of them know each other. And also, in the first game, it is implied that Nell has a bit of a history with him. It's not made explicitly clear. Oh wow, Max's artillery is going to do something else now! And here I thought they were useless. Serves me right for saying that. Anyway. A good thing I didn't sacrifice them earlier on. Yeah, like I was saying, there is a line that implies it's... I don't know if it's kind of jokingly or not, but there is implications that Nell and Grid may have been slightly romantically involved at one point. I'm not entirely sure if there's any fact behind it, but there are implications that something might have happened between them during his time in Orange Star. But anyway, like has been made clear before, Grid pretty much doesn't really care about countries at all. He really couldn't care less who he works for as long as they're not oppressing people. So, yeah, he's kind of like a polar opposite to Olaf, who is extremely patriotic. But, and the two of them have absolutely hilarious dialogue together. That's another thing I want to say. I guess I should take this time to mention, how I've liked the Blue Moon campaign so far. You'll notice that Lash has slightly a little bit into her super meter, and as a result, she's going to be going for her super right now, as opposed to her normal, which is kind of useful, because, speaking of supers, I think it's about time we did ours. Let's pull the old double whammy. If Grit can hit this pipe with his super, Max will be able to smash it next turn, and we'll have this in the bag. So, saving my powers for the right moment, now is the time to strike. And believe me, this is going to be epic. Big finish, people. This is going to be very, very awesome. I don't think those rockets are actually going to be able to do anything. Okay, so you can hit the pipe for... Okay, definitely Max is going to be able to finish that off next turn. I don't need to worry. All I need to worry about now is taking out as much as I possibly can for that all-important power score. And the problem with the power score is, yeah, I'm pretty sure only one character actually counts towards the power score, and that means that, it's not Grid and Max's combined kills together with both of their powers that'll count, it's just one of them, which is a little annoying, I will admit, but still, at least I ended up S-ranking this. You'll see what rank I got eventually. There's definitely room for improvement here, and lol, 123% damage against a 1 HP unit. Anyway, I guess I should take this time to just explain my thoughts on the Blue Moon campaign in general. I really like the dynamic the Blue Moon characters have together, especially Olaf and Grid. Those two are just hilarious. You'll see at the very end of this mission, they get even more of dialogue. The very end of this, they have one line that's just outright amazing. I forgot about it, and upon rediscovering it when rewatching the footage, I laughed out loud because, oh, I love Olaf and Grid's dialogue. It's so awesome. Speaking of which, Olaf and Grit are, of course, a special team in Dual Strike. They have a unique tag power, and also any of the special team-ups in Dual Strike that, again, have unique tag powers, they also have unique joint victory quotes when they finish a map. I will say, Olaf and Grit teamed up have some of the most hilarious joint victory quotes in the game. So anyone who has that game, I highly recommend teaming them up. Some of their victory quotes, which are incredibly awesome. Yeah. Oh, I love their dialogue. And then, of course, you have Colin, who's the awkward new guy, who I really like Grit's sort of mentor nature towards Colin. I mean, Olaf's pretty harsh most of the time, but Grit kind of, yeah, Grit sort of acts as kind of a mentor to him, which brings out an extra depth to his character that he wouldn't really have normally. But anyway, it's Max Blast time. This thing really makes short work of pipe seams. Bombers under the effects of this, I mean, Max's bombers can normally one-shot pipes. Under the effects of this, even damaged bombers are quite capable of one-shotting pipes. Right, I've definitely got this pipe taken down, so all I need to do is just get as many kills as I possibly can before I end this mission once and for all, and end the Blue Moon campaign. It's been a pretty good ride, and yeah, I hope my tactics I've shown here have been helpful to some people. Again, everyone's different, everyone, you know, has different tactics. Again, I, for one, much prefer doing Blue Moon first, Yellow Comet, but some people, it seems, do things differently. But anyway, almost time for this to all be over. Just a few more battles here. Oh yeah, I apologize for not turning battle animations off, but it's a thing with me. I never turn battle animations off in Fire Emblem. I never turn battle animations off in Advance Wars. It's just kind of a personal thing with me. I always like to have the animations on because they just... I feel really disconnected from everything if I have them off. Like, I really do. But anyway, that's down. Way is clear to the pipe. Nothing much else can really do anything. So, I could just create one infantry unit just to add to my technique score, but I'm going to do well on that anyway. Bring us home! 1. Oh, okay, you did it. Factory down! And Lash is getting the hell out of here. Yes, take your ambush spawning missiles and Neo-tanks with you. That was really annoying. And yes, apparently Olaf is crying. And this line that's coming up here, the lines that are about to come up here. that one right there. And Grit's reaction makes it even better. Anyway, yeah, you actually get special dialogue if you use Grit and Max here, because yeah, the two of them do know each other from before. I wonder how the dialogue goes if you have Yellow Comet allies. Interesting. Now you're all... The power of teamwork is awesome? Yeah, no, you were all like, oh, get out before, but, yeah. But yes, of course, they certainly are a dysfunctional family. But, yeah, Blue Moon is safe, even though Sammy and Andy didn't do anything. And Factory Domination, yes! Yeah, I did a little lower on power there, but anyway. Oh, I love this music so much! Okay, possibly the only victory theme that may be as awesome as this is the Age of Empires 2 victory theme, but this is honestly possibly one of my favourite victory themes in the history of everything. Oh, I love this theme so much! You just don't hear this theme enough, it's just... I guess it makes it even more awesome. Oh, so awesome. And with that, Blue Moon is officially clear. See you next time for Yellow Comets.